USF. Ron Anderson Jr. He comes in #1 in the Big East, shooting a 59.5%. And Hugh Robertson's a lockdown defender. Keep an eye on him. And for Marquette, Darius Johnson-Odom now averaging 19 points a game in conference play. That's tied for second. And Devontae Gardner, of course, the big sophomore, taking over for Chris Otule since he was injured on December 6th. And this ball game is underway. Marquette 16-4, 5-2 in the Big East, and USF coming in at 12-8, also 5-2.
Mike, one of the key matchups there with the ball just before pass. Anthony Collins, a freshman point guard, is going to have to handle the pressure that Marquette will apply in the full court.
Well, Stan, he's saying he knew when they recruited him that he had great vision. Had no idea he had so much poise as a young freshman point guard.
Excuse me, Mike. Always watching paint touches. Marquette gets one early. Devontae Gardner playing so well. As far as the recent games, getting in the paint, finishing, always a key for Buzz Williams and Marquette.
Speaking of keys, what are your keys for USF?
Well, clean the glass, of course, for USF. They've got that size advantage, a very good rebounding team, and then controlling the tempo, as we talked about in our one-on-one. This USF team, Mike, scored 44 points in the paint in their last game. They will pound it inside.
There's the outside shot for Robertson, a rare 3 for him. That's only his 4th this year. And you look at Marquette keys.
Well, scoring in transition, as we talked about, getting out in the open floor, let their defense turn into offense, and then paint touches. Yet again, now getting in the lane, the second time in this possession as Cadogan drives in.
Anthony Collins, the young freshman, picks up the foul. Stan Heath returning 77% of his scoring from last year, but he's had 11 different starting lineups. But again, he's 5-2. They've won 5 out of 6. Marquette, the hottest team in the Big East right now, with a 4-game winning streak. As Stan was saying after the shoot around today, you see that blue on the floor? We have to keep those guys out of that blue.
Now, I think the scouting report is pretty much the same around the conference. Try and keep Marquette out of the lane. And you know that's what Buzz Williams teams are going to want to do.
Well, Devontae Gardner has a couple of buckets, 4 points.
USF's got an interesting zone. We'll have to continue to keep our eye on how they're playing. It's not your typical 2-3. But we'll see if it hurts them on the offensive glass, on the defensive glass, rather, if Marquette can continue to do what Devontae Gardner did right there.
Gilchrist coming off the 22-point performance. Collins a little bit too strong. Gardner with another rebound.
Looks like man here on this position from USF. Nice pass.
Vanderbilt missed the shot. They were looking for that in practice. They thought it was a mismatch. Vanderbilt going 6'4". Collins listed at 6'1", but he's lucky if he's 6 feet, Mike.
Well, and Vanderbilt's got some great size on him. 6'4", got the strength, able to finish through at the rim.
Speaking of finish, Gilchrist lost the handle of the ball, and he still got it off. Speaking of one-on-ones, number 34, Robertson on number 1, Darius Johnson-Odom. And so far, Gilchrist can't keep the big guy out of the paint.
Nobody can keep the big guy. Gardner is such a load inside. Buzz Williams loves him. I mean, this is a guy, even Buzz Williams talked about, you want him on your rec team whenever he's done playing basketball. Mike, he just finishes every time he gets the ball. You're almost surprised when he doesn't make it. He is that adept, and it seems like no 2 shots are the same.
You talk about adjustments. What kind of an adjustment for the head coach, Buzz Williams, after Otule went down?
Well, it changes pretty much the way they wanted to attack. The one nice thing about Otule, he didn't need the basketball in his hands. He was out there able to set some screens and kind of create some space. Gardner's a guy that needs the ball in his hands more.
See that 85 wins right there? He's got 99 overall.
It's Gardner work. Now, Gilchrist did a nice job of bumping him off the block, but smart by Gardner there. Just a couple rhythm dribbles to get to the spot that he wanted to go. As a right, he wants to go over that left shoulder, and it was all about setting it up with those dribbles.
Well, Gardner in conference play now up to 12 points and 7 rebounds. He's got all 3 buckets for the Golden Eagles. Cadogan, he's coming off a 10-assist game at Providence. There's Robertson now locked up on Darius Johnson-Odom, who steps back. Well, speaking of locked up, Robertson just shut down Brandon Young of DePaul. 0 for 13 Young was.
Now that'll be a good matchup to watch. I think Robertson's length is basically the best thing he's got going for him. He's got good size at 6'6", good length in his arms, and smartly just makes DJO try to hit an outside shot first before he tries to close up, and DJO can use that speed to get around.
And look who scores again, Robertson. He comes in averaging about 6, but doesn't take that many shots. He's got 5 with a 7 now for USF.
I always like it when I see those defenders score. Really a soft spot for me.
Well, the whistle blows. We're inside 16 minutes, so we're going to take a break. And right now, the Bulls, they won 5 of 6, and they lead by 1. Back inside the Bradley Center, there's the numbers. 15:23 to go in the first half. 7-6 Bulls on top of the Golden Eagles. Mike Gleason along with Mike Kelly, a one-time defensive player of the year in the Big Ten. And speaking of defense so far, the Bulls, they can't stop the big guy, Devontae Gardner.
Well, the one thing USF has done well is Marquette has no transition points. It's early. But what I like about what Marquette is doing, is Gardner inside. I mean, this is a guy that when you get him some touches and you give him some space, Mike, to work with, he's going to score the basketball. Really impressive to see his patience and good spacing by Marquette, not crowding him, letting him work, letting him put the ball on the floor. There's no double team coming, so now he's got all the time in the world, and he's knocking down his shots 3 for 3 so far.
7-6. We've already had 5 lead changes in the ball game. I like it.
Yeah, not so bad. See if this keeps up.
Yeah, I hope so.
I tell you what, one of the things Stan Heath talked about was his team winning some close games. Something they didn't do last year. You've got more wins in Big East than they had all last year.
Yeah, Stan feeling the program's turning the corner as Cadogan gets it inside of the big guy, and this time he comes up empty.
Well, there's that length from USF.
Victor Rudd. And they lose the handle as Torian Fitzpatrick gives it up. Wow, just like that. There's some of that athleticism, though, huh? Vander Blue, as you talked about.
Yeah, it's impressive because Blue is just one of many guys in this team. You turn it over, which happened for USF. They turned it over inside their paint, Mike, and it still turned into a transition bucket. This wasn't some out at the top of the key.
George Blaney was saying, the assistant coach at UConn, saying that this team, the scouting report says they take 50 shots. They took 50 shots against UConn, and sometimes that can take you out of your rhythm because they slow things down.
I agree. And we had talked with Stan Heath about, are you trying to slow it down? And not really. He doesn't necessarily want to play slow. But I think this personnel, and in a game like this, I think they're better served to take their time, make Marquette work on defense, try to get a good look.
They lost 23 games last year, but Stan was saying a lot of them, 14 of them were in single digits, 14 of the 23. He felt going good into the season, but he thought this team has actually exceeded his expectations on the defensive end.
Good box up there by Blue.
And Blue tries to take it coast to coast. Johnson-Odom, that's a 3-ball, and that's his 43rd this year.
Well, when he gets his feet set, Mike, he's tough to guard. He's a guy, when I watch college basketball, you sort of watch those guys and go, how would you defend him? And he's so shifty, and being left-handed throws you off a little bit as a defender. And when he hits that outside shot, now you have to come out on him. That's scary.
It's scary how many steals Marquette can get as well. And Johnson-Odom's going to the line to shoot 2 after the foul on Fitzpatrick.
And watch DJO as he works. It's a nice job of his teammates finding him and just scramble with the ball. See Crowder just with the swing over. A little bit of a missed close out there as USF trying to match up.
Robertson had the look of frustration on his face because you can tell he kind of prides himself on shutting down the other team's best shooter. You mentioned Brandon Young going 0 for 13. D'Angelo Harrison from St. John's was held about 8 points under his average. So Johnson-Odom, a 76% shooter, rattles one in for 4 points now, and Marquette on top by 5.
The one thing that strikes me, Mike, about this Marquette team is you watch the subs that come in right now. You got Mayo coming in. You got Jamil Wilson. You got some offensive firepower coming off the bench into a game. So often subbing guys, and it changes the dynamic. And typically what you lose is that scoring. You're taking guys off the floor that started the game and can score so well. Not the case with what is a fairly deep Marquette team. Now, they lost Otule, and I think that hurts them quite a bit, changes things. But they still have a lot of firepower offensively off the bench.
You know, Mike, at the top of the show, you talked about Wilson and his 16 points. As USF pulls the trigger and kind of get a offensive rebound by default. Buzz was saying you cannot let these guys get offensive rebounds and stickbacks, but that one just kind of fell in their hands.
They're one of the best in the conference. Rebounding percentage-wise, that is USF.
This is Nash, backup point guard. He's been battling an ankle as of late.
That's a matchup right there they have to go to. Nice job to double team. Gilchrist has the advantage inside against Wilson. Buzz wisely going with the double team when Gilchrist gets the ball.
Jay Crowder touched it last. He said, you got it right. Bob Donato, Mike Stewart, and Michael Stevens, the officials of tonight's game here in Milwaukee.
We've already talked quite a bit about Chris Otule, who Marquette lost for the season, their center. And this is a game where they could use him. Just another body to throw at Gilchrist inside. Play behind, very active, especially hedging on screens like Jay Crowder had to do right here.
Wow, quick hands, and almost another steal for Marquette. They come in just under 9 steals in the Big East. That's third in the league.
There's Otule on the bench. He's done for this season.
That's a third time he's had a season-ending injury, right? Boy, he's a classic case for that 6th year. Huh?
Yeah, I would think so. That'll be the question. You can't apply for that until you're done. After next year, you'll be able to. But I have to imagine he'd be able to get it if he applies.
I was going to say, you talked about Wilson and his 16 points against Providence, Mike. And we talked about unexpected mileage. Is that a breakout game for him? Because the Oregon transfer, they say he might be one of the better players on the team, actually.
I think so. You know, I watched them actually called one of their games earlier against Pittsburgh, and he started to hit some outside shots in that game. And you could just see the confidence with which he was shooting. And I thought that's, as much as anything, I think for a shooter, shooting it, letting it go, feeling like it's going to go in. And you could see that start to come, and then it really showed in that Providence game.
Robertson looked inside for Gilchrist. Fitzpatrick lights it up. That's his 21st three. And boy, USF not known for knocking down threes. They look comfortable here today.
Well, USF struggled from behind the arc. Last couple seasons, 2 seasons ago, finished under 30% from behind the arc. This team's gotten better. And Fitzpatrick's a guy, Mike, did not take a shot against DePaul, but he shoots over 42% from 3.
Alonzo Poland. Gilchrist.
They got it on a double team against Gilchrist.
Still 11 on the clock. And there's one of the offensive rebound that Buzz didn't want. And they still come up with the basketball, and they still can't put it in. And it's finally knocked out of bounds. And the Bulls of USF hanging tough. They're down 3, and Corlin Fitzpatrick, the junior from King High School in Tampa, knocks down his 21st. .43 to go, 13-10. Marquette on top of the Bulls of USF. Marquette looking for their 5th straight victory. As we check the Big East standings, Syracuse in the driver's seat at 8-1. On the left side, South Florida, Seton Hall. It's exciting to see as we check out some news and notes in the Big East, and the head turners are the first 2 right there, Mike.
Absolutely. Just shocking hit. Now, you saw them at 0-4, and you looked at their upcoming 3 games. Marquette was the first of those 3. You thought, wow, there's a chance they could be at 0-7, and it was almost hard to fathom, and here they are, 0-7, first time in history. Crazy. It's
going to be interesting to see with Trey Woodall coming back now for Jamie Dixon, if they can right the ship and get going.
Yeah, he'll be the key. They missed him a lot. They need to get him in there, allow Ashton Gibbs to work off the ball a little bit more.
And of course, UConn will have UConn on Sunday against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. The Irish are headed for Newark to take on Seton Hall tomorrow. Collins will runner down on the baseline, and he gets his first bucket.
It's a nice shot, nice confidence booster for the freshman on the road against a team that's going to apply a lot of pressure. Important for him to play well, handle the ball. All those big guys to score down low.
Johnson Owen coming off the screen. Boy, it's tough. Well, that guy can shoot like that, huh?
Yeah, tough is one word. I mean, it's incredible. It's just the way he comes across. And the other thing, Mike, as a lefty, he comes off that curl screen now. He's bringing the ball back into the defense. Yeah. Defense is that much closer, able to bother a shot, but just so quick in getting it off, and it was pure.
Poland misfires. Marquette in transition. And it's knocked away. Good defense in transition that time by USF.
It's important to get a good look here for USF.
Stan Heath saying they're getting tougher, starting to learn how to finish games. And players are knowing their roles more. That guy knows his role, huh? Let's knock it down. Nice job by Mayo. And Wilson is fouled by Gilchrist, and he'll be going to the line shooting a couple.
Marquette sharing the basketball very well down low. The look by Mayo there. He kind of created it. If this were hockey and you can get the 2-pass assist, Mayo started it from the short corner. A nice trap going, able to get it out and give Wilson a chance to score.
And I stand corrected. Poland is charged with that foul. He got him on the wrist before Gilchrist made contact, and Wilson, a 77% shooter, going to the strike.
Well, is it me? And Marquette's uniforms even more bright gold than normal. You see that?
No, I think it's the fact that you're working with me again.
Is that
you're
what
all
it
excited
is? They look nice and clean. I bet they broke out a new pair for tonight's game.
Well, I'll tell you what,
they
at
look
halftime,
fresh.
You can track that down at halftime. Find out what the brand new unis.
You know what the players always say? You got to look good to play good, coach.
And Wilson looked good and played very well in the last game. It's his first point here tonight. 16-12, Marquette by 4.
Not sure where that pass is going.
Wilson gives it up. I'll tell you, Mike, the USF can't keep them out of the paint, but they are working hard on defense.
Well, Marquette just missed a few bunnies here last minute or two. I like the three-quarters court trap. They trap right when they get over half court. Force USF into a turnover. I think this USF team, Anthony Collins got to be able to take care of the basketball, but you pressure them a little bit. I think you can turn USF over, particularly when you get the ball in some of those big guys' hands. And Buzz Williams probably feeling the same thing and going with that trap.
As this game goes deeper, Mike, you look at the depth. Which team is deeper, Marquette or USF?
I think Marquette. I even without a Tule, I like what Marquette can bring off the bench. I love the contribution of Wilson. I like Mayo off the bench. I just think they have the firepower to continue to come at you. Although USF certainly much deeper than they have been in years past. And it's been the difference, really, I think, than they've been able to close out some close games.
Yeah, that's a great point. Their last 5, they've outscored the opponent's bench 126-79. That's something you didn't see in recent years at USF.
Think back to Dominique Jones. It was kind of a one-man show when he was here.
Bulls down 16-12. And the USF, they've held 15 straight opponents to under 30 points at halftime. We'll see if they can do it again tonight.
Marquette falls back into a 2-3 out of that little trap they had.
Collins gives it up. Lots of traffic down there, and they lose the ball. Last touch by the Bulls, so it's going to be Marquette basketball. So Gilchrist, Stan Heath was talking about Gilchrist, who's coming off that 22-point game. He said, you know, a lot of people expected him to be a big scorer, but he was injured. And then last year, every time he touched the ball, it was double and triple teamed. He said, but he dives for balls. He does everything I ask, but people don't realize how often that young man is triple teamed.
Well, you remember Gilchrist and Jared Famous. They had another big guy last year, and both of those guys certainly could score, but struggled with the double teams. And I think that's the scouting report. Just throw a couple guys at him, make them pass it out, and see if they can do it. They will turn the ball over, and Buzz Williams trying to give that extra attention to see if they can do it as well here tonight.
This is Gardner. He's got 6 in the first half. And possession arrow coming back the other way. Gardner wanted the foul. No, they did call the foul. I stand corrected.
Now, by contrast, Mike, we've talked about the extra guys, the extra defenders that are being run at Gilchrist. Look at all the time, and we even talked about it earlier. Devontae Gardner, he's getting that ball. Stan Heath not choosing to bring a double team, letting everybody play straight up, not making Gardner pass out of the post. Instead, he's got all day to make a move. It's interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing USF try and throw a double team and see how well Gardner handles passing the ball out of the post, seeing the open man and completing the pass.
Well, they say Gardner's always had the offensive talent, and Buzz was saying that earlier after O'Toole went down. He says his minutes are going to go up. It's going to have to come on the defensive end. He's going to have to prove it. But he's getting just under, what, 20 minutes a game, and his max is probably 25, right? I mean,
he gave him 34 good minutes earlier in the season. I think that probably is tapping him out as far as what he can do to stay productive. But his conditioning has certainly gotten better. Nice floor.
Stan Heath saying earlier today we have to utilize our bigs, so they're definitely getting it in there, but the shots are tough to come by against this Marquette defense.
Straight up man down there on the block. That's a tough shot.
Crowder's there to keep it alive, and there's another whistle, and this time it's going to go against Marquette. As Jamil Wilson, the 220-pound sophomore, the transfer from Oregon, picks up his first. Inside 8 minutes, 7:44 to go. Marquette averaging 77. They have 16, but they have the lead by 4. Marquette by 4, and Mike Kelly, they said they were hoping Hugh Robertson could lock down on #1 for Marquette. Easier said than done when you can shoot the ball like this.
Well, particularly when DJO hits his first shot from outside. He misses first, but when he hits a shot early from outside, he's really tough to guard because now he's got the confidence to knock that down. He's got the threat to blow by you, and really hard to stop him. Now, you look at my top 5 Big East player. Put DJO in there. I think you're splitting hairs between him and Jay Crowder and who's performed better so far. Kevin Jones on the far left leads the league in points and rebounds. Wayne's a guy that's doing basically everything for Villanova. Some really great performers. I think DJO, Jay Crowder, kind of a toss-up. Which one would you choose to put in that lineup?
How far off the top 5 would be Jordan Theodore of Seton Hall? He's having a great year.
Not too far. Between Theodore and Herb Pope, another 2 guys, inside, outside, both very crucial to the success of that team.
Collins. Well, he's the engine that runs this team, and Collins gets his second bucket here in the first half. Collins' brother J.D. played 4 years at West Virginia. Said he wanted to play against the best competition. He feels the Big East is supplying that right now. Cadogan loses the handle. Wilson says, "I'll take it," but he misses.
How about this matchup here? Jay Crowder defending Collins.
Mismatch. This one's coming back the other way. I was going to say a mismatch. I'm not sure which way, though. Obviously, Crowder had the height advantage, but
yeah, but you know what?
Little guy has the quickness.
Exactly, but Crowder wisely just backed off. And certainly Collins' strength is not the outside shot. He wants to blow by, use that quickness, and Crowder recognized it, leaned on his teammates to help out, and really nowhere to go.
Well, you look at Marquette, you think of Lazar Hayward playing behind the big 3. Yep. And Jimmy Butler playing behind him. Is that Jake Crowder this year? Is he that guy?
I think so. Very nice piece in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel about Crowder, and not just his on-court leadership, but also his off-court leadership. That's a great example, and Marquette has a great tradition. You mentioned those guys. Wesley Matthews, another guy who just continued to get better in his time here at Marquette.
Well, Marquette now 1 for the last 10. And this one's going against South Florida. It looks like everyone's pointing at Gilchrist.
Well, he picks up his second. Him and Gardner were going after it. He picks up this foul off the ball right around the free throw line. Not at all the spot Stan Heath wants his big guy to pick up his second foul.
Gilchrist coming off the 22-point performance in their last game, and Gardner now with 6. Got a kick out of Gardner after O'Toole went down. I think the first game after that was UW Green Bay, and Gardner picks up a double-double in the ball game, and Buzz Williams says, yeah, but the other guy had 22-14.
It's all part of motivational tactics, I think. Gardner's really responded. I think you have to be pleased. If you're a Marquette fan, part of the coaching staff, I know they love the way he has stepped up with the increased minutes, continue to stay productive, and do all the things that the coaching staff wants him to do.
There's no doubt he worked hard getting that body in shape in the offseason.
How about this matchup here, Mike? Derek Wilson on the ball. Great defender, a great on-ball defender for Marquette. Has seen his minutes decrease a little bit, but has put in some good time this year. Had a big role in their win against Wisconsin, holding Jordan Taylor to below his season averages.
You mentioned Crowder up top, and he was up top. But when they have somebody up there with that height, really giving USF some problems. Crowder comes down and commits the foul.
Anthony Collins showed us some good things so far, and yet again here, this is his play. Nice job, nice look away pass, but anytime Anthony Collins can get inside, I mean, that's basically the primary job responsibility. Freshman point guard, handle the ball, break the pressure, and now in the half court, Stan Heath not needing him to provide much in terms of scoring, but break down the defense, you know, to use the Buzz Williams turn, get that paint touch, get inside, use the dribble, break down the defense, and then find the open man.
The other side of that spectrum, that's what Stan Heath was worried about as far as finding the open man. They said everybody on this Marquette team can penetrate and drive so well to keep these guys out of the paint, as Fitzpatrick hits one of two.
Now, part of the reason I'm guessing Stan Heath doesn't want to trap down low and bring a post double is now you're playing from behind. If they are able to pass it out, it becomes that much harder to them defend Marquette on the perimeter. If they continue to play straight up, they do.
Nice feed inside, a little bit too deep. For Johnson Odom. Gardner certainly getting his touches here in the first half.
DJ not happy at all. He didn't get a foul call there. A lot of contact down low.
Nice look by Ron Anderson Jr. And the Bulls have 8 on the shot clock. Collins has 4 on the shot clock. And that's going to be a charge. Well, let's take a look down. Our Big East leaders brought to you by PNC for the Achiever in you.
Well, Mike, so often scoring defense can be skewed just by the pace of play. You play slower, you're going to hold teams down. But USF, this isn't just some sort of phony, we play slow, our defense isn't that great. They really do play some solid defense. We've seen it so far. Impressed with the length, and I think that has the biggest thing to do with it. You've got a team with most everybody back other than Jared Famous. So that cohesiveness, that ability to talk, communicate, pick up the open man gets that much better in the next year.
Yeah, Buzz Williams was saying this afternoon, he said this team is really, really good, but probably not getting the publicity because they haven't had that much success in the past.
2-3 zone.
Dugan misfires, and Fitzpatrick rips it down. You talk about some of the wins. They're 5-2, the Bulls, but one loss, a 3-point loss to UConn, and Fitzpatrick was one of the guys to step up and say, you know what, we just lost by 3 to the defending national champions, but we can't be satisfied with that.
Yep. No, I think that's a big difference. That mentality, so many coaches talk about changing the culture, and that's been the big task for Stan Heath, and you can see they're making that progress.
There's an air ball, good hustle, but it goes out of bounds. Last touch by Marquette. 3:54 to go. Buzz Williams holding on to the 3-point lead over the Bulls. Marquette by 3, 18-15, along with Mike Kelly, Mike Gleason here. And Mike, at the top of the broadcast, you talked about the fact that USF scored 44 points in the paint against in their last victory against DePaul. Not the same kind of success here today, but Anthony Collins doing everything he can to get in the paint.
I like his decisiveness, and I think anytime Marquette is going to throw this three-quarters court trap on USF, it's going to take someone to be aggressive with the basketball. You see Anthony Collins there, he's circled. Now when he gets it, you're trying to see the open floor, decide exactly where you're going to go. And a lazy trap here for Marquette. He's able to split and not just get through the initial trap. He takes it all the way to the rim. Really impressive play. And I think the teaching point there is now, if you're Stan Heath, guys, we have to have that commitment. We can't just break the press. We have to attack out of it.
Fitzpatrick misfires right at the buzzer. The shot clock expired. So 3:41 to go. So this will be the 16th straight opponents, I would think, that USF will keep under 30, but not if that young man, Darius Johnson-Odom, keeps stroking it like that.
Well, you give him that much time, his stroke is just so pure. Great rotation. Every so often I watch DJ-O, and it seems like he starts to lean back, fade away just a little bit. Most of his shots tonight, though, straight up and down with confidence, and they're finding the bottom of the net.
Well, Gardner was chasing Ron Anderson Jr. Gardner picks up the foul. Those two guys that worked hard. I mean, hard to believe. You look at Ron Anderson Jr. He was 320 pounds his senior year in high school.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
You just can't see it right now.
He's down to 255.
That's a lot of hard work right there.
And of course, we talked about Gardner, the weight that he lost. He dropped about 10 or 15 pounds. He's still 290. Wilson, good ball movement. Jay Crowder ringing up for Jay. It's a three.
The first points of the game for Jay Crowder. Big three as Marquette starts to stretch this lead. Get this crowd back in with Marquette. Doesn't score out of the fast break. You see Vanderblue. I like the aggressiveness, trying to speed up the pace of this game, which has been played at USF's pace. Don't score off the initial, but nice kick out. That's the best way. As a three-point shooter, you always want to be able to just step right in. And so anytime the ball's in the post and you can kick it out or off of a miss, you love stepping in, and Jay Crowder taking advantage.
Yeah, you talk about transition defense. It's tough when they're whipping the ball around like Marquette did that time. Coming up on the Big East halftime report, we'll check in with the experts of the Big East Player of the Week and the Rookie of the Week as Mike breaks down two players from the Villanova Wildcats, and of course the first half highlights. How about Villanova now? They've won 2 straight. Are they starting to put things together?
I think so. Jay Wright certainly done a nice job with that club. I mean, they had put so much on Malik Waynes to carry the load on this team. And I think they missed some outside shooting, but they're starting to gel. Their young guys are playing better. Not just Malik Waynes, but Javon Pinkston, the Big East Rookie of the Week.
Pinkston, of course, taking the year off. Suspended last year. Marquette now on an 11-5 run.
We'll give back to Collins here. Yep.
Poland, he's been quiet offensively. Last week he averaged 17.5 points a game. This is Anderson.
Defense by Vanderblue, staying in front.
7 on the shot clock, and Wright tries to take the baseline. They're going to call it against Marquette. Buzz Williams didn't see it that way.
Take a look at this. It was close. Crowder did a nice job of trying to sell. That's a good call, though. That was a block. 2 fouls, and Crowder's certainly going to sit the rest of this half. We've seen him have some quiet first half, though, and then come out strong in the second half and put up some big numbers.
It's kind of the mantra for Marquette early on in the season. The entire team. There's a 3-ball, and this young man, Victor Rudd, that's his first bucket.
Speaking of slow first half and big second half, didn't score in the first half. Their game against St. John's, they had 24 points in the second half. That's incredible.
That's amazing. It took the words right out of my mouth. He was 0 for 5, and then he came out and just started stroking it.
Good defense there. Nowhere to go inside. Fitzpatrick stayed right in front.
9 on the shot clock. Nice drive inside. Count it. And 1 for Wilson.
It's a good call. It's a strong finish by Jamil Wilson. And I know what Ron Anderson Jr. was trying to do. I don't think he needed to body up as much as he did. You watch him with good help side defense sliding over. But Wilson really wasn't much in a position to finish there. I think if he just backs off with the body, that would have been a tough one to drop down. But nonetheless, strong finish from Wilson. He continues to play great basketball coming off the Providence game.
And Anderson Jr. now with 3 fouls here in the first half. Hasn't had too many touches down in the low post, but he leads the Big East at just under 60%. Now Wilson goes to the line. What did he say last week? He said the red shirt after he transferred from Oregon. It's like somebody takes your favorite toy away from you, then they give it back to you and you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. It's like you're injured, but you know you can play. You're sitting there watching everybody. They're all having all the fun. It's got to be tough. 5-second ball here.
This is Fitzpatrick. Lines it up and knocks down another 3 ball. So he's got 2 threes in the first half.
It's amazing to me that he didn't even take a shot against DePaul. Now they won that game, didn't need necessarily his scoring, but you see him with the great stroke. A big guy that can step out and shoot threes is such a weapon.
And that's what Stan Heath was talking about, that the guys knowing their roles more. They need me, I'll shoot it. Don't need me, I won't shoot it.
You're right, Stan Heath talking to him right now and perhaps telling him, I know they worked on this in practice about Fitzpatrick. He said, you know, you realize you're almost a 50% three-point shooter. You got to step out, you got to be ready to shoot. Don't be so passive. Nice job here, drawing the double team on the baseline and just a kick out. We talk about stepping into your three, and Fitzpatrick does that.
Well, it was a good find out of King High School just down the road from USF. Averaged a double-double in high school, and you talked about the fact didn't shoot against DePaul. He's one of 2 players in the league ranked in the top 15 in rebounding and 3-point shooting.
Well, you watch Stan Heath go to work. What a great find. He's been a great coach for USF, and you think about the struggles, right? USF certainly fighting an uphill battle. A great basketball conference, and Stan Heath has just stayed so consistent with his club, his expectations. They've got great new facilities going in.
Oh yeah, great point.
Certainly a program on the rise.
He believed in what he was doing. He laid the foundation brick by brick, and they're starting to turn the corner. And those facilities you talked about, I had a chance to tour them during the football season. They are second to none.
Yep.
Awesome. That's out to Doug Willard, the AD down there. That's out to that. Getting his game together the last couple of games.
It's a big shot. Such a big shot. You got a guy like Wilson coming off the bench, can step out, can guard the 5 spot, which they need him to do without Otule, and then still bury a 3.
Boy, Rudd Jr. shoots the air ball, and there's a reach by Robertson. So 29-21. USF continues to work hard, but you wonder if the wheels aren't starting to come off a little bit.
Well, and you see the drive and the kick by Cadogan. I think there's a chance Cadogan could be. He certainly doesn't put up the best numbers, but perhaps the most valuable in terms of if you take Cadogan off this team, what he's able to do, distribute the basketball, drive, kick. He doesn't need to score. And this team has got a lot of scorers. He's able to find the open man. But Jamil Wilson, the guy now, the recipient, starting to step up, hit those shots, and just one more weapon for Buzz Williams.
And Mayo, the freshman from Huntington, West Virginia, gets his first point. There's a young man who hit 3 4s against Georgetown, and Cadogan, he's had 10 assists twice this year. And you mentioned he doesn't score much, but 6.5 for a point guard. Those are good numbers, 6.5 points.
And the thing Buzz Williams talks about, he said we got a lot of guys that can score with the ball, that look to score, but they need the ball in their hands to create plays. And Cadogan's a guy that doesn't need to score, doesn't need the ball in his hands. Able to drive and kick and let other people get all that glory.
Well, this one goes against Darius Johnson-Odom. Once again, coming up, we'll hear from the experts. They talk about the Big East schedule tomorrow. And Mike Kelly will talk about the Big East player and the rookie of the week, both from Villanova. And we'll have the first half highlights and stats coming up in the next 35 seconds.
Curious to see if they try to get Cole in the ball without Gilchrist on the floor. He's probably the best bet in terms of creating something for himself. There he is.
Inside. Arawanza missed the jam. Darius Johnson missed the shot, but Wilson's there to bring down the house.
What a turn of events. I'm not so sure how that wasn't a foul on Poland as he tried to finish the alley-oop. Nonetheless, Marquette able to convert. Watch this. Near highlight reel play, but wisely, DJL, he doesn't even hesitate. Goes right up the floor. And what a finish. Big first half from Jamil Wilson.
So Wilson showing some of that athleticism as we take one more look at the final bucket of the first half. It was a crowd pleaser here in Marquette. Your thoughts in the first half?
Well, I thought USF did what they needed to do early, but Marquette just too much, and from outside, knocking down those threes to end the first half.
Well, USF, the winners of 5 of the last 6, they trail 33-21. We'll be back with the Big East halftime report. Andy Katz, Tim Welsh, and Doug Gottlieb coming up. Welcome back to Big East basketball, presented by PNC. Back inside the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. The Golden Eagles of Marquette on top, 33-21. With Mike Kelly, Mike Gleason here, and Marquette closing that first half, Michael, on a 7-0 run. So I think it's imperative that Stan Heath and the Bulls get a quick start here in the second. You know, Marquette just has a way of wearing you down, particularly at home. I thought USF controlled the pace for the most part of that first half, but eventually they were able to get out and run. And even when they didn't score initially on their fast break, they ran the secondary break. And I think this is a great example of Jay Crowder. You watch him and his vision. As Vanderbloe's going to push the ball, Crowder doesn't force anything. He sees they've already got Wilson down low and Blue, so Crowder stays out top. Now look at the defenders, Mike. You've got 4 green jerseys, everybody watching the ball. Great job finding the ball inside, and then Wilson with the vision to kick out. Crowder for 3. I love the way Marquette plays. When they get in transition, they put pressure on you defensively, and even if they don't score at the rim, kick it back out, secondary break, and an excellent finish by Crowder. Yeah, we were talking with Buzz Williams about that earlier today. I said, okay, let's say Robertson hypothetically locks down Darius Johnson-Odom. Crowder's your second option. Who's your third or fourth? He goes, you know, that's not really our team. We have so many guys that can do it. And especially when they're bringing Mayo off the bench and Wilson the way he's playing, I agree with Buzz in that regard. It makes it tough to really isolate one guy. So let's update your one-on-one right now. Well, we talked about the pace. And USF allowing more points than they probably want. I think Stan Heath, for the most part, probably was pleased with what he saw. I just thought the last 3 or 4 minutes, Marquette really got into a groove, and USF wasn't able to stop what was going on. Then a 4-point swing at the end of the first half. Crowder had 3. Now he's got 5. Well, the Bulls shot 67% in the second half in their victory over against DePaul. Doubt that's going to happen here tonight, but they've got to get something going offensively now as they trail by 14. A nice double team and recovery by Crowder. Boy, it's something else. When Crowder has a slow first half, it's almost a guarantee he's going to come out and not just take shots. A lot of guys will come on fire, but he seems to always bounce back and knock them down early in the second half as well. See the numbers, 32% for USF. And only 2 trips to the line, 2 free throws, and turnovers just 2 for Marquette. Now, and 13 fast break points as well for Marquette. Another key, trying to keep this Marquette team out of transition. Stan Heath telling us that was what they needed to do. So Gilchrist gets 3 after the foul on Devontae Gardner. He was behind the arc. And well, he's an 88% shooter in conference play. Stan says, you know, it's not going to be our night, maybe. You know what? It's going to be something to watch here in the second half. Gilchrist, I think, the best playmaker in terms of having the ball. I've got to score. He's the one guy who can go one-on-one. Now, Buzz Williams doesn't want to let him go one-on-one. They're going to bring those double teams. But with some foul trouble in the first half, Gilchrist had to sit a little bit. Back in the game now, and you can bet Stan Heath wants to feed him the ball, see if he can get into a groove. Did he kind of double pump on that free throw? Yeah, he really almost pulled his hand back a little bit. 1 out of 3 from the line for Gilchrist. Now the big guy from Marquette will be going to the line. And you see who's guarding him. That's Gilchrist. You watch your smart play here. USF not bringing the double team, so Gardner's just going to go right to the basket. Augustus Gilchrist now 3 fouls coming off the 22-point game. He's got 3. That's a foul he's got to avoid. Knowing how important he is to this team, I think he's got to be a little bit smarter there. No, he's playing with 2. He just brought his hands down unnecessarily. He's got the length to bother that shot without having to bring him down, and there's almost a guarantee foul call. So Stan Heath talking to him. He goes out with 3. Let me ask you this. He's coming off the 22-point game. He was 7 of 8, 10 for 10 for the line. Do they need him to score? I mean, he's a scorer, but do they need him to score? I think they do. I think they do, not only because you obviously want the points, but the defensive attention that
he brings. Marquette has to bring another man down to help out when he has the ball. When he is that threat, now everybody else, their job becomes easier on offense.
Jay Crowder just picked up his third.
Wouldn't be a bad spot for USF to go after Jay Crowder, whoever he's guarding.
That's when the wheels start to come off now as Collins, the freshman. I'm not sure if that was a great pass to Anderson, but Collins was chewing out Anderson, just like Mike Kelly used to do during his day as a point guard.
Oh, you know better than that. No one's going to take that from me. You see Jay Crowder, he's disappointed in himself, I think, more than anything. Picking up that third foul. Buzz Williams does not want to let Jay Crowder. In the first half, usually gets 2 fouls. He's going to sit him on the bench. And 3 fouls this early is going to force him to sit down a little bit. And Jay was just starting to get into a rhythm.
There's another 3 ball for number 1, Darius Johnson Odom. He came into the game tied for the top spot in the Big East with Sean Kilpatrick, averaging 3 threes a game. And Stan Heath jumps off the bench, calls the timeout. Come on, guys, we're better than this.
Now you watch DJO work here. Kind of a rolling screen of Jamil Wilson. He falls into it. Didn't matter DJO, he still buries it.
Back in Milwaukee, Mike Kelly, take us inside the play.
How about this screen, Mike? I swear I saw Brian Bulaga do this in a playoffs game. Jamil Wilson just coming over to set the screen, loses footing. That's a chop block, right? Isn't that 10-yard penalty? Nice job by Jamil Wilson. No call. Right down to the ground. On the ground, USF defender doesn't know where to go. And DJO hits the 3. And Stan Heath wasn't pleased. That'll get some chuckles, I think, in film study there. Jamil Wilson having a heck of a game. Showing up for Mike McCarthy as well.
Well, Marquette starting 1 for 6 from 3. They've hit 4 straight now. So much for locking down on Darius Johnson Odom as Collins gets a much needed basket.
Boy, every so often you just start to forget about Anthony Collins. He's busy creating for everybody else, and then he makes a play like that. Very impressive. And you can tell as he matures, as he gets more experience, what a tough player he's going to be to defend.
Yeah, they were down 17. You never know it watching him play, right? I mean, Stan Heath saying that we have a freshman point guard that doesn't play like a freshman. Wilson.
As you said, they knew Collins was good. They're impressed more than anything by his poise, the way he's able to step in, handle the basketball, run their offense. It's a tall task for a freshman in the Big East Conference.
Victor Rudd Jr. won't go down. It spins out.
Mismatch here. They got Fitzpatrick on DJO.
Somebody's feeling it. Wilson draws nothing but air that time.
Start shooting like an offensive lineman. That's what you don't want.
Hey, watch it. You might be walking to your car, and an offensive lineman might.
That's right. Well, the Packers aren't playing.
Challenge you to a game of horse or something. Collins kicks out. Victor Rudd Jr. Wow. Well, both teams coming in at 5-2 as they try to stay on the heels of Syracuse. And as Mike pointed out at the top of the broadcast, the winner of this ball game. That'd be huge. We got a whole month of February coming up. Yep. This win would be huge as far as staying in the race near the top.
Well, it's something else. You know, we talk to so many people. We do these Big East games, and who is the second best team? I mean, we're looking at the standings right there. A lot of games left to play. And I don't know that there is a clear-cut number 2. I think Marquette is poised right now to go on a run with this game and looking forward at their schedule. They've got some winnable games that certainly I think Buzz Williams would say they're capable if they handle their business and do what they need to do. And the question will be, over the course of this season, who stays hot, who continues to play the way they want to play.
Well, they're certainly playing well tonight. I know Kevin Willard from Seton Hall said that USF, believe it or not, he called them an upper-tier team in the Big East Conference. They don't look like it right now, but
well, there they are. You see them at 5-2, playing good basketball, winning those close games, which is so important.
A step back by Crowder, and hits the top of the backboard. And the Bulls will take the basketball. Who's going to step up and score some points now for USF?
Well, I think what they need is Anthony Collins. We saw the way he was able to get in and score. I don't think they need Collins to score as much as they need him to really take over, handle this pressure, and try and create for his teammates. Poland has been so quiet. A guy who scored 19 in their last game against DePaul. Marquette has really shut him down. I wouldn't mind seeing Gilchrist get some touches down low. They opened the game really feeding the ball to him, but foul trouble has put him on the bench a little bit.
Stan Heath just went to his bench. Sean Noriega checks in for the Bulls. Remember, he lit up Villanova in the Big East tournament last year. 6 threes. And a good hustle.
In the timeout.
And timeout by USF. And the Marquette fans don't think Collins got it, but the officials give it to him.
Well, as a freshman, and Stan Heath, this is the reason why they like Anthony Collins. The way he just continues to hustle. Great heads-up play there, grabbing the basketball. Now you've got to have control to get the timeout. And that was
39-24, Marquette all over the Bulls at USF. 15:36 to go. And speaking of former Golden Eagles, Jimmy Butler in the house tonight.
How about that? What a player.
Very, very, very impressive player here at Marquette. Attention golfers and club pros. Online registration now open for the 2012 ESPN National Golf Challenge. Log on to ESPNGolf.com to sign up and find a participating course near you.
Jimmy Butler hits some of the biggest shots his senior season for Marquette. Game winners. There was nobody else you wanted to have the ball if you're a Marquette fan than Jimmy Butler.
That's why the last couple of years it was fun to watch Hayward step up and then Butler step up. Crowder gets it up. Knocks it down, and I think that was partially deflected. The Crowder's smiling, saying, hey.
He is. If it wasn't deflected, they definitely got him on the hand. It was altered. Poland really did a nice job of challenging the shot. Thought he might have fouled him, but nothing but net.
And Collins again looking for Anderson inside, and again miscommunication.
Let's take a look at that last play and see. Hard to tell with how quickly it occurs, but it appears that Poland runs right by. I think he gets a piece of that basketball and it goes in anyway.
Well, he's got 8s after scoring just 3 in the first half, picking up some fouls. There's Crowder with the basketball. Boy, solid numbers last week. But he averaged like 16 points, 8.5 rebounds, 3.5 steals. And Gardner,
that's got to be a foul on Gardner.
Practically crushed him.
Yeah.
No foul, but that's a bucket by Johnson Odom. He's got 15. Stan Heath has a good argument.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know exactly how you missed that.
Good hustle by Mayo, knocked out of bounds. It stays with USF.
This game already starting to get away from USF, and right before that turnover, Gardner was just caught. He didn't mean to. He was just coming down for his defender, and Anthony Collins stopped. He just ran over him a little bit and turned the ball over. Marquette bench. You gotta like that, though, if you're on the coaching staff. Guys on the bench still active, involved, engaged in the game.
That'll quiet the crowd for about 5 seconds. Gilchrist showing some athleticism.
Pretty impressive for a big guy putting it on the floor.
Marquette only with 2 turnovers up to this point. USF with 14. That's impressive.
A 1-3-1 zone here from USF with Gilchrist, the big guy, on the free throw line there. We've got Anderson Jr. is going to run the baseline.
Mayo. Offensive rebound. Gardner the recipient, but Blue kept it alive.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to point that out. Vander Blue should get credit for an assist right here, as he was the guy who kept this play alive. It was Gardner who cleaned up, but Blue stayed active all over the glass, tips it to his teammate, and Gardner's a guy who knows how to finish. Yes.
They're feeling it here.
I tell you what, Gardner's so expressive. When people talk about his body language. Loves the and one. That's a big guy that seems to get fouled all the time. He loves to scream and one every time he finishes.
Well, he has a chance for the and one right now. He's got 11 in the ball game. And he's got the and one. He's got an even dozen. And Gardner heads for the bench as Wilson checks back in.
Well, it's a real test right here for USF. Obviously down 21, but more or less just to keep this game from really getting away from him. Trying to contain, run your stuff, not get too sloppy. That's the key as they turn it over again.
Brought down the house. Gilchrist. And the stick back goes and get the basket to Fitzpatrick, and the foul goes against Jay Crowder.
Boy, we just missed what would have been a guaranteed top play on SportsCenter. Vanderbilt took off from outside the lane to get that one. Good job by USF though, taking the ball, answering right back. I mean, really, I think this is the key for Stan Heath. He's looking out there, trying to get something going, and this is where it's a teaching moment, saying, guys, forget about the score right now. We just need to focus on what we're trying to get accomplished on the defensive end. And then offensively, get good shots every time. Take care of the basketball.
This game is produced and distributed by ESPN Regional Television Incorporated. 47 now to 29, Marquette.
Good kick out.
Good box out by Gilchrist. Seems like Gilchrist, his energy level has gone up the last couple of possessions.
And now's the time when you sense that too as a point guard. That's when you've got to go back to the big guy, feed him the ball. He's feeling it. He'll get another touch on the offensive end.
Poland.
They tried.
Nice thought, poor execution. And rolls out of bounds, and Stan Heath just puts his hands in his pocket and says, this is not the team that I've watched play the last 4 or 5 games. But give credit to Marquette.
Yep.
Crowder. Step back.
Yeah.
Nash. Good look. And the Bulls trying to make a little run now. Fitzpatrick in double figures with 11. And nice job by Gilchrist getting back just at the last millisecond.
Another opportunity here for USF to just chip away. Try and build a little momentum slowly but surely.
Fitzpatrick. Wow. Erwanza showing some of his leaps right there. Well, Buzz Williams, this will be win number 100 in his career. Back inside the Bradley Center. That's where the Bulls feel right now, Mike. To commemorate the 30th Big East Championship presented by American Eagle Outfitters, to be played at Madison Square Garden, Big East is counting down the top 30 moments, players, and teams exclusively on BigEast.tv. For more information, log on to BigEast.org/Garden30. So the Golden Eagles, they've been golden here tonight, so looking for their 17th victory as they get closer to their 7th straight 20-win season here in Milwaukee.
Nice defense there by Jay Crowder, staying in front. Gilchrist wisely saw he had no place to go.
Trying to set something up for Victor Rudd Jr.
Travel, yep.
And Nash, the backup point guard, says not enough movement, guys. Let's go. So we've got 2 freshman point guards barking out the signals to the seniors. So that's pretty impressive.
You know, I talked with Stan Heath before the game, and you think about this environment and trying to come on in a tough place for any guard to come in and handle basketball with the pressure Marquette gives. And Stan knew it was going to be hard for his freshman point guard to come out here and handle the pressure. And we've seen Marquette, and it just wear you down.
Jay Crowder misfires the 3, and it's last touched by the Bulls as Rudd Jr. touched it, and Marquette gets another 35. Yeah, speaking of winning here, Marquette 1 loss at home all season long. That was at Vanderbilt, and after the ball game, Buzz Williams saying we deserved it the way we played.
Vanderbilt was incredible that day. I mean, they just right from the jump, they played like a Final Four team. got Festus Ezeli back. Vandy's one of my teams. If I had to pick right now a team you don't want to face, I mean, obviously you've got the big dogs at the top, Ohio State, Kentucky, and Syracuse. But in terms of some of those teams that are lower in the rankings that you wouldn't want to face, Vanderbilt's definitely up there.
And Marquette's going back to the line. Fitzpatrick picks up another one for the Bulls. So Marquette riding a 4-game winning streak into this one right now. There's the last 4 wins over St. John's, Pittsburgh, Louisville, and Providence. Well, that Providence game, the Friars, I mean, Marquette in the second half, what did they shoot? Like 81% in the second half?
Yep.
And the Friars still only lost by 7. That had to be tough to swallow for those guys.
Yeah, and the dunk is certainly a tough place to go in and get a victory. We've seen Providence knock off some high-ranked teams there. Anytime we go on the road in the Big East Conference, get a win, I think you're pleased. And we should mention, too, USF got a road win their last game at DePaul. They've stuck around since then. This is a 2-game road swing for them, like an NBA team going on the road. Did not go home after that game. Little Bulls-Bucks road trip for the Miami Heat. Is that how that would work?
Well, I was just thinking the Bulls would be happy to get back to Tampa. Guys like Buzz Williams, Kevin Willard singing the praises. I know Stan Heath has to be disappointed because he really likes this team. Rudd Jr. goes inside. Good strong move by Fitzpatrick. Now he's got 13.
Well, and to be clear, this game is far from over. Certainly a lot of time left. And it's plays like this that are going to have to get it done. Trying to go inside. Maybe get Marquette in foul trouble if you can. Great strong finish there by Fitzpatrick. He just slipped that screen. As you saw, the defenders worried about the cutter coming outside. Coming off the screen, Fitzpatrick just slips and goes right to the rim. And good vision to find him.
14 now. Stan Heath says he's the unsung hero for this team. Fitzpatrick is. He'll do anything to win. Well, right now he's got 10.5 minutes for the Bulls to climb back into this.
Nice move.
And Cadogan, as you mentioned, doesn't score much, but he can score.
Boy, that's excellent play, though. DJO starts everything out, and I like the pass, too. Unselfishness from Crowder to find Cadogan. Marquette's in one of those tough spots. Still so much time to play. They probably want to pull back the reins a little bit, not get out and run and turn it over, play a little half-court offense. But then again, you're going up against a very good defensive team. If you slow it down too much, you run the risk of USF getting into a rhythm defensively and not getting good looks.
Top defensive team in the Big East right now as we stand. Fitzpatrick probably forced it, but trying to put the team on its back and get something going. And Fitzpatrick picks up another foul.
Take a look again at this last play for Marquette as DJO starts a great splitting the screen, draws a third defender before kicking it out to the corner and Crowder, and then just a touch pass. That's good vision, good sharing of the basketball, and good sign for Marquette as well. See Cadogan hit that three. He's a guy that usually defers, but when he's wide open, got to be able to knock it down.
And that was only his 5th three, but he certainly looked comfortable knocking it down.
You got to like about Cadogan. He knows his role. He's not trying to be somebody he's not. Certainly realizes all the talent he has around him offensively and plays his part to perfection.
On that note, we see Vander Blue with the basketball. He had 7 double-figure games in non-conference play. Still looking for that first one in conference play. Is that a big deal, or is he just knows his role? And
I don't think so. I mean, he's certainly capable of scoring, but I think he'd be more alarmed if Blue was trying to force too much. And right now he hasn't. He's played a great all-around game and just taking what he can get.
Did you see that? Around the driveway, playing in the backyard. Anderson Jr. loses the handle. And there's the reach and the foul by Rudd Jr. Boy, Victor Rudd Jr. sat out last year after transferring from Arizona State. 2nd game of the season. Knocked in 30. And I told Stan, I said, you know, wow, you probably sat back thinking, you know, that's what I expect more of that. And he said, I think he did too. Then he found out it's not going to be that easy.
Sure.
And he's definitely out of sync here tonight.
Well, he's a guy, Stan, he said he's starting to get it more and more every time he plays. And as it continues to click, his numbers will just continue to rise.
Speaking of rising, Gardner using some of that 290 pounds.
I'll tell you what, Mike, I think if I'm scouting against Marquette, I think that's the best way to defend Gardner. Typically, he tries to go right through. He's not going around you. And we've seen so many guys try to body up and figure, I can block his shot or I can stop one way or another, because he's not doing too much that's fancy. But he scores. I mean, he just continues to score. And I think more guys ought to try and draw that charge if they can. You see the big body banging against them. It's sort of instinctual for that ref to call the flat, call it a charge. Wow.
Well, Wilson showing some of his leaps here tonight. And I go back to what they said in practice today, that he may be one of the better players on this team.
I know last year, talking with the Marquette people, they loved the way he practiced. And sitting out that year, they said at times he was the best player on the practice floor. And now he's got to translate it to the games, and he's continued to do that.
Wilson, sophomore from Racine, Wisconsin. Wow. Steal on the inbound and nail at the flush. .20 points off the turnovers now for Marquette. Jawanza Poland will be going to the line when we come back.
Mike, from the start of the broadcast, we talked to Marquette, able to turn defense into offense, and yet again on the inbounds, great vision by DJL to get the steal, and the look ahead for Mayo. Big finish for Marquette.
Marquette's pushed that lead to 22 now, 56-34, inside 8 minutes to go. More exciting Big East hoops action coming your way this Sunday, January 29th, noon Eastern, 11 Central. Upset-minded Notre Dame travels to Connecticut to battle Jim Calhoun and the 19th-ranked Huskies. Be sure to check your local listing for more information. Speaking of the UConn Huskies, there they are right there, number 19, 4-3, 14-5. We talk about Fab Melo not playing for Syracuse. Ryan Boatwright not playing for UConn. How does that affect the Huskies?
Well, they're still, he has, at times, I think, could be their best player. Certainly when he's on the floor, helps what they're trying to do. And there's Jay Billis talked last night on Big Monday about UConn just not running any offense right now. I mean, they've got to find a way to get some better looks in their half-court sets. They're just not getting it done. And that's why they struggle a little bit here as of late.
I had their game at Seton Hall, a game they lost early in January, and they did a lot of standing around against that Seton Hall zone. And Poland, who averaged 17.5 last week, that's his first point.
Boy, look at the stat sheet right now. USF with 19 turnovers, Mike. Marquette's got 20 points off those turnovers. Really the story of the game so far. Jay Crowder with 6 steals right now. That's a big game. 26 minutes, he's got 6 steals. For a big guy, that's a ton. Time to spare.
After the Paradise Jam Championship they won, and Buzz Williams said he might be the heart and soul of his team, Jay Crowder. He does so many things. And this guy's doing a lot on the glass. Devontae Gardner, the sophomore from Virginia, with 14. That young man that scored that basket, Rudd Jr., the transfer from Arizona State. Haven't seen it tonight, but Stan Heath saying that in time, when he learns how to attack the basket, not settle for threes, and he brings his A game, he could be one of the better players in the country, he said, in a couple of years.
Well, we talked about it. He had 24 points in that second half against St. John's. Certainly has the ability to score in bunches. Just a sophomore, though, and I think the biggest thing is going to be maturity, continue to develop, and player development is such a key at the college level. And a lot of guys come in as freshmen, had a lot of success, and some adapt quicker than others. The question is for those guys that struggle a little bit early on, how much will they continue to work in the offseason and develop their game and get better?
They say this young man, Rudd, has just scratched the surface. Of course, taking last year off in the redshirt year after transferring from Arizona State. So he said he feels like a freshman again. Actually, he says he hasn't Feels like he hasn't played since high school because he didn't play that much at Arizona State.
Sure. Gilchrist back into the game. Gardner's got 4. Looks like Buzz is going to keep him in.
But Rudd, again, haven't seen it. You mentioned this in the first half. His 24 points all in the second half against St. John's. He was 0 for 5. Came back in at 8 for 10, 5 for 7 from 3. We'll see him come to life here in the last 6.5 minutes.
Mike, how about Buzz Williams? Think he's working hard on the sidelines? Look at the sweat coming through his shirt. I think he got a workout video, perhaps. D1 coach, forget P90X. He's got his arm kind of covering it right now. Trust me, he is working hard on the sidelines.
Either that, he ran outside. And it's raining here in Milwaukee.
One or the other. Buzz always animated on the sidelines, right in there with his players, giving that same amount of effort.
Crowder feeding the big. Big pays back to favor.
A nice pass. Actually, we've seen Gardner with several nice feeds. Give him enough time. He's got some good vision, and he's continued to find the open man.
So Crowder with 3 at halftime. He's got 12 now, so 9 in the second half as we approach the 5.5 minute mark here in Milwaukee. Gilchrist thought he was fouled.
And not a bad idea to slow it up.
Yeah, I was just going to say he probably would have taken a shot in the first half. Huh? Well, I'll tell you, Collins continues to give 110% out there. You know, Mike, you look at this Marquette team. Timeout on the floor.
Watch Marquette work. We talked about Gardner in the divisional, nice little backdoor cut. Gardner seeing Crowder as his man loses him. Nice shot, just diving to the hoop, seeing nobody down low. And how about the reaction? That's how you get that sweat going, huh?
So that's exactly how I designed that play today.
You gotta love it.
So there's the 4 wins again as Marquette shoots for a 5-game winning streak. The 4-game winning streak is the longest in the Big East. Currently, of course, after Syracuse got beat by Notre Dame. And they travel to Villanova. Again, that's not at the Pavilion, but downtown Philadelphia on Saturday. Then Seton Hall back here on Tuesday. Then at Notre Dame, Syracuse found out, hence the 29-game winning streak that they had. It's not easy to play in South Bend.
Nope, not at all. No easy stretches in this Big East Conference, but nonetheless, I mean, this is a Marquette team that clearly has its eyes set on challenging Syracuse for a Big East title. So those are games you look at. All right, we got to take care of business at home and try and steal a couple on the road. You know,
earlier we talked about this in the first half, and Buzz Williams saying, you know, life in the Big East. They erased a 16-point deficit to beat Louisville. They blew a 17-point lead, lost at Georgetown. That inconsistency, is that starting to erase now, and Marquette's starting to become more consistent?
You know, I think every coach tries to sort of eliminate some of those up and downs, but when you're dealing with college kids and an imperfect game like basketball, those things are just going to happen. If anything, I think you're Buzz Williams, you're happy to see your team fight back. I mean, the one thing about Marquette is the level of intensity the kids continue to play with, matching their coach's intensity on the sideline. You know they're giving maximum effort. Now, there are times where they get down or maybe blow a big lead or are able to come back, but I think that effort is what you always look for, and Marquette continues to have that win or lose.
And their shoot-around, too. They have the most energetic shoot-around I've seen so far this year.
You started sweating just watching.
Now, Jawan Zapolin elevates, shoots the air ball, and it hasn't been his night. I mean, Poland, you talk about that St. John's game for USF. He scored 12 of his 16 in the second half. Right now, he's got 2 free throws, and that's it for him.
Well, credit Marquette's a pretty good defense, and Poland just hasn't had a lot of good looks either in their half-court sets. Hasn't been able to shake free.
Wilson. And Jay Crowder's going back to the line, as Fitzpatrick says, you may get 2, but you'll have to do it the old-fashioned way.
This is part of the game. You don't want to start seeing hard fouls here. There's certainly some frustration, understandably, on USF side. That's where referees, I think, got to step in.
And Mike, I stand corrected. Ron Anderson Jr. just picked up the foul. It wasn't Fitzpatrick. So Anderson Jr. averages 9 points, 6 rebounds a game. He goes out. 5 fouls, no points here at Marquette tonight.
Yeah, tough night. Just never really got going, too. I guess if you think about it, first 12, 15 minutes of the first half was played, I thought, at a pace that USF was comfortable in. They were hitting some shots. Were not a ton of possessions either way, and kind of kept Marquette out of the rhythm they like to get into. But then to close out the first half and pretty much this entire second half, it's been all Marquette.
And you mentioned rhythm, the operative word rhythm. I guess Marquette deserves credit for taking them out of the rhythm.
Sure, no doubt.
So Jay Crowder, 10 in the second half now, 13 for the ball game, and it's 61-40.
Gilchrist a chance to get to the low block. Nowhere to go, though.
A lot of yellow jerseys down on the baseline. So Buzz Williams, his record overall, 99 wins in his career, and he's fired up for number 100 here tonight in Milwaukee. Well, back in Milwaukee, 61-40, Marquette by 21. Earlier, Mike, you talked about Vanderbilt, the team you might not want to face in the NCAA tournament. Who else is on the list?
Well, you see Marquette right in the middle. There's certainly one of them as they continue to play better and better. You got Virginia on that list. I think Mike's got one of the potential players of the year in the country for Virginia. They're a very dangerous team and play great defense. Iona's got a great point guard, Machado, and Mike Moser with UNLV. Those are some teams to keep an eye on. Of course, Murray State, I think everybody's heard about because they're the only unbeaten left in the college ranks. I think this will be an NCAA tournament where we'll see some mid-majors make a run. They certainly knock off some big teams. We see it every year, but this could be another year where you got teams like VCU reaching the Final Four.
Butler will be back in the finals again. What makes Murray State so good?
You know, I think you've got a team, and typically you see this at that level. They play together. If you have played throughout this summer, they don't have those early departures that a lot of the high majors will have. And Isaiah Cannon's another guy who's right there with anybody. I mean, he could be playing at any school in the country, just happens to be playing at Murray State.
Years ago, I remember talking with Tom Izzo about this. You know, Izzo says, you know, in football they talk about parity. He said there's a lot of parity in college basketball, believe me. And this was almost, 5-10 years ago. But the fact that the NCAA finals have had mid-majors, excuse the term, some people don't like that term, but is it parity or is it just?
It is. No, it certainly is. The level of basketball, the round the calendar tournaments and teams that continue to play, I think it's just raised up the level, the level of quality players that there are. I mean, there's just not enough spots. A lot of the major conferences for all these good players, and they go places. A lot of good coaches, great scouting. I think you're seeing when a team stays together for 3-4 years, players continue to develop. They're dangerous come the end of the season.
Gilchrist picks up his 4th. Sean Noriega getting ready to check back in now for Stan Heath. So Gilchrist coming off the 22-point game. He's got 4 fouls, 5 points. And Gardner now shooting to a 76% shooter with a chance for his 15th and then his 16th point. Gilchrist already this year, broken nose, separated shoulder. Boy, his career has been inundated with injuries.
This looks like a USF team to me. It just needs to get home right now. Tough road trip, 2-game road swings. We talked about playing DePaul and Marquette. Long flight home, and they got to just get back to base. Put this one behind them. I mean, every so often a team plays one of those games. Marquette had one against Vanderbilt, which just did not play the way you used to see Marquette play. And I think Stan Heath, that's one of those things where you just kind of file this game away.
Let's take a look at the Papa John's play of the game.
Now, DJO has got to be player of the game. He started early, knocking down the 3. Out in transition. Teammates found him. All-around game, 17 points, 6 boards. Yet again, leading this Marquette team.
Jay Wright said recently what makes Darius Johnson-Odom so potent, he's so patient. He waits until the ball gets to him in the offense, and they find him in transition so well.
Best shot fake in college basketball, DJL. Sometimes I think he fakes too much. Passes up a good look. Sam Young, I think, held that title of best shot fake in college basketball a few years back for Pittsburgh.
Sam Young was lethal.
That's an unofficial title, by the way, if you're wondering.
Wilson trying to show off some of his talent here tonight. Wilson with 8 points, all coming in the first half, though. Brought the house down at the end of the first half with that slam dunk.
Nice move.
Fitzpatrick with 16. And just like that, Crowder comes back with his 15th.
So Stan Heath's going to call a timeout, talk to his guys.
You mentioned just get home. They don't have to play again until Sunday. They have Providence at home Sunday.
Yep.
And again, home. It's kind of a stretch, too, because the Sun Dome is getting renovated.
Yep, yeah, that's true. But at this point, though, I mean, this is just, it's all about, you know, the teaching moments and finishing out a game strong. It's clearly out of reach at this point, but there are certain musts that a coach has to have and has to see. And even in a losing effort, you want to see your guys get back on defense. No resistance there. Easy two for Marquette.
And so Marquette, this will be their 5th straight win, and they travel to Philadelphia to take on Villanova Saturday, then back home Tuesday against Seton Hall, and back-to-back road trips before taking on Mick Cronin and Cincinnati. I saw Cincinnati play Villanova. Very impressive as far as team players knowing their roles with the Bearcats this year.
Well, they got a nice squad.
And Providence Sunday for the Bulls, and then a trip to Georgetown. Saw Georgetown last Saturday, barely got past Rutgers. They shot 13% against that Rutgers defense in the first half.
Mike Rice's team is going to come after you on the defensive end. You saw them shut down Pitt at Pitt. Phenomenal performance there.
Well, Marquette averaging 77 points. We mentioned the fact that USF has not given up 70 since Kansas back on December 3rd, but 44 points. I think Stan Heath was expecting a little more from the offensive end.
Yeah, this game just got away from him a little bit.
Well, the looks on the faces of the Bulls, too, and not that they were cocky coming into Marquette. Who would be? But you can see that I think they expected a better performance. Got a clock issue right now. The clock you see above the rim, it's dead. So Bob Donato over at the scorers table discussing that, and Stan Heath.
The shot clock above one of the baskets is still on and still working. It's only that one basket where it's out.
Stan saying, whatever. Like you said, let's just get home, forget about this one, and get back to work. So they'll play it without that shot clock in the last 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Be interesting to see how the Bulls regroup now and bounce back. This is the 20th anniversary of their last trip to the NCAA tournament. Nice left-handed shot by Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick last few times down has shown some nice moves. Good finishing.
Speaking of nice finish, how about Vanderblue?
That's kind of his game. I think that's his comfort zone really on offense. Slashing to the basket. Nice strong finish, taking the foul and finishing nonetheless.
Young man who once committed to Wisconsin after what, his sophomore season?
Yep.
And wound up here at Marquette.
Well, you can see a lot of the things that any coach would like to have in Vanderblue. Very good defensive player. His offensive game, like I said, his comfort zone is getting to the rim. And as his outside shot continues to develop, he becomes a more well-rounded player. We saw him earlier, very vocal, animated on the bench. He's celebrating with his teammates, and a big part of the success of this program.
Fitzpatrick had a chance for a 20-point game. He dipped inside. Good hustle. Can't get that second shot off. Wilson almost had it. Jawanza Poland breaking his man down. Hasn't been his night shooting.
Almost picked up a frustration foul out there.
A well-deserved round of applause from this Marquette crowd. Solid effort all the way through. Well, you look ahead. I think that next game for Marquette Saturday at Villanova is going to really be a measuring stick where this team is at.
Vanderblue. Fitzpatrick. He's got 18, 25 seconds to go. A young man that just rebounded the ball. Juan Anderson, a freshman out of Oakland, California. They say he's really got a nice game.
Yeah, he's got some upside. You can see the development he's had. Continue to have. Well, Rudd with the steal. Not usually what you see.
So Rudd's going to the line. He gets fouled as Marquette will climb to 6-2, and South Florida will fall to 5-3. So Georgetown and Marquette both at 6-2.
Yeah, we're getting to that point now where teams are going to start to separate. Just near the halfway point.
It's interesting as I look at that graphic. I think of Mike Rice and Rutgers, the job he's done this year, and they have a thing in the locker room called left side steel plates.
Sure. And
just like that graphic, left side, right side, and one of their goals is just to get over to that left side.
Yep.
The upper echelon. That's going to do it. 40 minutes is up, and the victory belongs to Marquette.
Now, a nice all-around game by Marquette. 20-point victory. Solid second half. As they continue to do what they want to do. Got out transition, and USF really was just helpless to stem the tide.
All right, what does Buzz take from the victory? I mean, it was all upside for Marquette tonight.
Yeah, I think you go back. I mean, there's always things you can learn on, but and teach from. But got to be pleased with the way his team performed.
Well, once again, the final score from the Bradley Center, 67-47. Marquette now 6-2, 17-4 overall. A reminder to catch more exciting Big East action Sunday. Notre Dame takes on 19th ranked UConn. Catch all the action Sunday at noon Eastern, 11 Central. Preceding has been an exclusive presentation.